Good afternoon, traders. How's everybody doing this afternoon? Before we get started, as always, just a quick test of picture and sound. I want to make sure that you can hear my voice and see the projection. Karen, Steven, Scott, Dar, Al, Daniel, Donald, Gary, Greg, Jason, Jerry, John. There's so many guys here. First of all, thanks for your attendance. We value the fact that you can take time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this exciting webinar that we're about to put on for you guys. As the president of NeuroStreet, I'm very fortunate to be able to officially launch the crypto division within our organization. And the fact that you guys are here today is a really exciting opportunity because we've been working around the clock with essentially a very knowledgeable people, very qualified individuals, and most importantly, Warren Lorenz, who's going to be heading off our crypto division in our crypto investing room, which is actually who we've got on the mic today to be actually coming in and doing this presentation. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about some housekeeping rules. This is a launch event. Obviously, there's lots of people coming in here. Cryptocurrencies is a new, I guess you would say, environment for a lot of you. It may not seem like a new experience, maybe because of the Bitcoin bubble and all that stuff, but this is not just about Bitcoin. This is about cryptocurrency and the future of that industry and the direction we're looking to take on that journey with each and every one of you. A couple of housekeeping rules. Like I said, we are recording the event. We've got our entire team in here to help answer some questions. Most of those questions are going to be reserved to hold off to the end of the event, mainly because Warren's got a lot of stuff he wants to cover, and he's put together a jam-packed presentation for you guys today. And we will be sending out a recording. There will be information at the end of the event with the special launch packages with regards to trading rooms and packages and investment theses and all that fun stuff that Warren's got in store for you guys. I'm going to actually not be doing the presentation. I'm going to be sitting in the back end and helping answer questions as they come in, and most importantly, be here if you need it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Warren Lorenz. Give him a round of applause, guys. He's definitely no stranger to the industry, and we're very lucky to have him on our team heading off the crypto division. Warren, take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Sean. Can everybody hear me? Perhaps just drop a Y in the chat if you can hear me. Awesome, Randy, RJ, thank you. Wow, this is an exciting opportunity. I'm really excited to present with you guys today. So to start off, first and foremost, thank you again for taking the time to attend. We're going to cover a lot of information, and this is going to be a ton of fun. But if you're, for some reason, unable to attend and stay for the entire webinar, Sean mentioned this, but no worries. We're recording this, and we'll send a reply out to all. All that covered, we have a great turnout, hundreds of live attendees, and I'm sure most of you will have questions, but as we go through the presentation, but I'll do my best to answer those for the most part. And if I overlook anything, we'll have a specific time at the end to address any major questions or concerns you may have. So with that being said, let's get started. We'll go over a quick disclaimer as per usual. And NeuroStreet has no financial interest in the outcome of any of the trades mentioned in through here. This is strictly for educational purposes, and we are an education company. You can take a quick moment to read the disclaimer on the slide before you. Now, all of that in mind, let's move on into the fun part, which is today's presentation on how to invest in the crypto markets like a hedge fund, using a portfolio management approach to consistently profit. So before we get started, I'm going to take a quick poll here, and I'm going to ask you, are you currently or have you previously been invested in crypto? So I'm going to open this up right now, and we'll get some of your feedback. Let's see, we have about 60% voted, 70%. Awesome. So that's pretty good here. I'm going to close the poll, and so you guys can see the responses. We have 65, 35, 65% no, 35% yes. That's awesome. There's a lot of opportunity out there for those that are currently saying no, and for those that are currently saying yes. Well, then hopefully we can draw some clarity into how you can navigate the markets going forward and feel really confident in your investment theses. So closing the poll, going back to our slide, how to invest in crypto markets like a hedge fund. This is what we're going to be talking about today. And my goal for today's presentation is to show you an extremely simple method for navigating the crypto markets without having to stare at a screen all day. Right now, keeping in mind, we have a lot of people in here with various experience, skill levels, account sizes, and backgrounds. Each and every one of you will take something away from this event. And once you see our approach, I truly believe the majority of you will think our methodology not only makes sense, but is also logical and is a simple way to create passive income. And if you say until the end, like Sean says, that's where I'm going to reveal the crux of the presentation. We're going to start off slow, probably go through a lot of what you've already heard or know, and then dive deep into our methodology for portfolio management. We're going to build into it. We are also going to cover the new NeuroStreet Crypto Division. And if you like our program, we have an extremely special gift for those at the end and that want in. But before that, what makes this presentation different? Right? This isn't going to be a promise of get rich quick schemes out there, like the majority of those hosting programs and offering content in the crypto space. I'm literally going to show you the exact approach I use with some of the family offices and small hedge funds I work with, as well as give you insight on how to collect free crypto tokens. So even more, you won't have to learn particular software, indicators, or special trading systems that quite frankly take significant time and effort to learn. We gain our edge by truly finding the best opportunities through significant research, right? You'll notice that each and every investment or trade that I take will have a reason, a story behind it that doesn't require you to have a bunch of faith in something that maybe you don't fully understand. So who am I? I'm Warren Lorenz. I'm a full-time trader and I trade for private family offices. I consult a few small hedge funds and work with select retail investors who are looking to invest in blockchain technologies. I started my career off as a financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual while simultaneously studying mechanical engineering actually at the University of San Diego. So I passed my Series 7, my Series 66, and at the time I was feeling like I was ready for Wall Street. But after a few years in the industry, I was also going and doing engineering school. I took a semester off from school and took a finance position at a startup in Silicon Valley. We were funded and operated out of a venture capital studio. Perhaps you've heard of it. It's called 500 Startups, which allowed me the opportunity to work alongside 30 other entrepreneurial teams that were also funded by that venture capitalist. Now, we were a small group of 6, but in just a few months, I personally helped them raise over 7 figures of venture financing and scaled from 7 universities to over 130. That's when I took my equity position in a startup. I sold it back to the firm and then started my next venture, which was called Tech Meets Trader. So I've always had a passion for investing and active trading. But when I was at Tech Meets Trader, that's when I really started to depend on my active trading for consistent income. So I was trading mostly stocks and options, but also some futures to fund the software venture that I had. So TechMeets Trader itself was a free social community for active investors. We had thousands of traders coming onto our platform each and every month, sharing their trades, talking about the markets, and learning from educators like Raul, who I'm sure most of you are all familiar with, who now also works at NeuroStreet. So Raul is the one who actually introduced me to Sean Kozak, which is the president here at NeuroStreet, for those that are unfamiliar. And after some time, we decided to merge forces. So with that being said, investing and speculating in cryptocurrencies and blockchain applications have been the single best investments I've personally ever made outside of my own businesses. I've been involved with Bitcoin since 2012 and actually lost most of my digital assets when first Bitcoin exchange Mt. Gox was hacked back in 2014. At the time, I was buying, Bitcoin around $100, and I was using it to actually have writers in the deep web help me with writing some of my papers. But nonetheless, that was the most money I ever lost when you look at today's prices, right? A few years later, when the dust settled, I got back into crypto, and I noticed that in this space, I actually truly have an edge, right? I understand technology since I've built software, I've built trading indicators, web platforms, and the like. I know how to code. I went through a fully immersive coding boot camp out in San Francisco for 3 months. And I've traded derivative markets professionally and have raised over $1 million from venture capital financing, right? So I've lived each part of the life cycle that's really relevant in cryptocurrencies. I've been there, I've done that, I lived it all. So this is why I dedicate my time to helping, hedge funds, family offices, investors like yourself prepare for the technological revolution that's taking place. I have an inside edge with institutions and hedge funds and the friends that I work with, quite frankly, and I know where we're heading. So with all that in mind, that was my introduction. Now, for those that don't follow the space as actively as I do, I'm sure you won't be surprised when I tell you that the question that I get most often is crypto here to stay? Now, I show this slide a few times, but the companies before you are just a few that are diving deep into this space. If you look, these are some of the biggest companies in the world here, guys. Look at Samsung, we have the World Bank Group, IBM, Visa, MasterCard, CME, right? I could list them on and on and on, and I actually forgot a few, such as Bank of America and Walmart and Alibaba, but you kind of get the gist, right? All of these companies are actively developing and partnering with blockchain solutions to give themselves an economic edge. So I'm actually going to pull up a few examples here for those that are maybe on the fence about where crypto is going. This is the website for JP Morgan. I'm sure you guys have all heard of JP Morgan. They are one of the largest asset managers and banks and financial institutions in the world. On their website, they have an article called Unlocking Economic Advantage with Blockchain, a guide for asset managers, right? In the first paragraph, it says, there is a growing realization that distributed ledger technology, popularly known as blockchain, will bring a radical shift in the way we think about financial assets and the way financial industry will operate in the future, right? And when you scroll down, you can see that they say blockchain is the real deal. And they actually have a four wave of anticipated blockchain deployments schedule right in front of you. So they're starting with credit default swap trade processing, which is actually going on now. They recently piloted a $400 million program, which is called Quorum, and really interesting project if you haven't looked at it before. But you can see right here that from 2016 to 2019, which is by the end of next year, they're going to have this in production. So they're moving a lot of their operations onto blockchain technologies, and it presents an amazing opportunity for asset managers like us to profit off of the increasing in popularity, right? They talk about the opportunity for asset managers and driving costs and example applications, but most importantly, on section 3, they say it's time to get off the sidelines. And this is ultimately a call for all of you, the 67% here that said, no, I'm not currently invested in blockchain and crypto technologies. Well, it's time to get off the sidelines, says JP Morgan Chase. You don't have to take it specifically from me, but take it from one of the largest institutions in the world, right? They are preparing themselves across the board, not just JP Morgan, for this next wave of the finance, internet, and technology. So that was JP Morgan. Let's talk about IBM. So IBM is also one of the largest publicly traded companies in the world, right? They have an entire section on their website for blockchain solutions. You can go and learn more about it right through here, where they have overviews, hyperledger use cases, and how developers can start building on top of their solutions. Some of their solutions actually include their own native blockchain platform. They have identity standards and protocols which they put into place, and they partnered with, which I'll get into, Walmart and JD.com to create a food trust supply chain infrastructure that's all based and built off the blockchain technology, right? And what's interesting is that these are, for the first time, not being confined to internal operations. These projects are actually being built on public cryptocurrencies that I'm sure you guys have all heard of before, or maybe you haven't heard of them before, but if you work with me, you're going to be hearing about them. And the wave is just beginning, right? Let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft's They launched on Azure, which is their cloud hosting platform, a way for developers to test, develop and deploy secure blockchain apps using their infrastructure as the cornerstone of their applications. So their positioning, they spent significant time and energy in, creating this division of their company so that they can take advantage of the upcoming boom that's about to be here, right? So on the left, you'll see how it's transforming the financial services industry. If you could download the ebook, you could also see how they're managing supply chains as well with blockchain technologies. Amazon, let's talk about them. Same thing, right? They have on Amazon Web Services, they have blockchain solutions to help build and distribute dApps, which are decentralized applications across the world, right? And this, once again, is one of the largest companies in the world that's building on top of blockchain solutions, right? And these projects, while you may hear of Bitcoin all the time, it's not being built off of Bitcoin, I can promise you, right? But if you know where to look, you can consistently find phenomenal opportunities in the market. So one of the projects that I'm going to talk to you too that doesn't have to do, with as much software, let's say, is a project that my friend actually launched and built from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. He made it's called RMG coin, which you're looking at right now. So when you're looking at RMG coin, it's partnered with the Royal Mint, and what it is, it's a cryptocurrency that allows people to invest in gold by buying crypto. So it's called the ERC 721 standard. Perhaps you've heard of it, most probably not, but this Chicago Mercantile Exchange was in charge of taking the UK Royal Mint's gold reserves and tying it to a cryptocurrency so it was more efficient to trade. So you can go through and look at RMG coin and through here, right? Royal Mint RMG, find out more. If you wanted to click in through here, it will navigate on to more information. I'm using this as an example to show you some use cases and some of the major players that are getting in this space, right? So take this and run with it. So we're looking at Comcast, right? Comcast recently released that they partnered with Disney, NBC Universal, Altice USA, Channel 4, Cox Communication, right? Some major influencers in media to launch a blockchain-based advertisement platform. So if you were to scroll down and look through all of the text and mentions all and through here, what they're saying is that blockchain can more efficiently distribute advertisements and increase the transparency that's in the space, which before it's been kind of, if you're an ad buyer, you'll know it's been kind of a cross your fingers type approach. But now with blockchain solutions that are actually being piloted at this very moment, you're seeing companies like Comcast, Cox Communication, NBC Universal really start going gung-ho. So I mentioned before that Walmart and JD.com partnered with IBM to create the Blockchain Food Safety Alliance in China. Here's some of the press releases on that for those that are interested. And let's talk about Salesforce, right? Another amazing CRM solution that I'm sure you guys have all heard of. Perhaps you use it yourself. Well, they're integrating with blockchain technologies as well with a new plugin that they're launching. And their CPQ system is ultimately going to take their traditional data structures that were hard to manipulate based off the databases that are in place. They're putting it on a blockchain so that they can use more artificial intelligence. They can use it for the Internet of Things, which is called IoT technology, and for better analytics. So this is just another example. And a lot of people will probably say, okay, well, in terms of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins, who's actually buying and accepting them as payment these days? So I pulled up a list so that you can see. We have KFC, Overstock.com is a huge player in this space. Playboy, Subway, Microsoft, Reddit, right? We talk about Cheap Air, Namecheap, Expedia. We can continue to scroll down. We have Zynga. Let's see, Etsy vendors, which is a huge publicly traded company as well. We have Mint.com. We have Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, right? So Amazon is not only purchasing companies that are going to be accepting cryptocurrencies, they're investing in the infrastructure themselves. And when they are getting paid in cryptocurrency, they're hoarding them. They're not selling it at current market prices because they also believe in the technology. So you have Bloomberg, right in through here. Dish Network, so you could pay for your cable in Bitcoin if you so choose, right? And so on and so forth. So I could continue to scroll down. Shopify, right? Lionsgate Films, Rakuten, just to name a few, right? And a lot of you, I'm sure, are active investors. So people that invest in, publicly traded companies on the stock market, perhaps you have a 401k or an IRA that's, doing work for you. I'm sure you've done extremely well in the past few years since 2008, right? But one of my friends at Sentio sent me a PDF, and what it featured is mentions of keywords that were found and most common in public filings. So they scrape the SEC Edgar website and they go through and they say, okay, what are the most prominent keywords in these earnings reports or filings as a whole? So mentions of cryptocurrencies were right there with artificial intelligence, interest rates, and unemployment, trade wars. But when I slow down and I scroll you, over 6,000 documents in Q1 of 2018 included some mention of Bitcoin, ICO, blockchain, Ethereum, so on and so forth, right? Which is growing 88% quarter over quarter. It stood still from Q4 of 2017 to Q1 of 2018, but you can see that, 88% quarter over quarter, that's 3 months worth of work right here, guys. You can see that the buzz is for real. So looking at the crypto mentions by sector, we have tech, financials, and consumer discretionary that lead the pack at the moment, including NVIDIA, Visa, Chicago Board of Options Exchange, Salesforce, and MasterCard, right? You can see, perhaps I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see a little bit more clearly some of the filings, right? Salesforce, Visa, IBM, MasterCard, Visa, TD Ameritrade, right? And if you want to look by sector, here's how it's broken down for those of you interested in that. And moving forward, overall, Thomson Reuters survey finds 1 in 5 financial institutions are currently considering cryptocurrency trading in 2018, right? So that means 20% intend to do so within this year, right? And over, let's see, 70% said they were planning to do so over the next 3 to 6 months. Now, this was launched in April, right? Which puts that time frame right now. So within the next 2 to 3 months, you're going to start seeing 70% of the financial institutions that responded to Thomson Reuters survey is going to start getting into cryptocurrency investing and trading, whether it's going to be launching an ETF, whether it's going to be buying it for their clients' personal portfolios. I can tell you what, the institutions, they get in first. So that's why you're going to start seeing guys like Goldman Sachs launching a trading desk. Now, they only announced Bitcoin trading desk, but because I have friends that are actually going to be working on this desk, they're looking at much more. They actually recently bought Poloniex, which through one of their subsidiaries called Circle, and they've been funding Circle with hundreds of millions of dollars to do so. So let's put this in perspective here. Goldman Sachs, they are majority shareholders in Circle. Circle buys Poloniex, which was my favorite altcoin trading exchange, right? They are preparing themselves to be a key player in this space. But not only that, right? We have George Soros, who's the 22nd richest man in the world. He's preparing to trade cryptocurrencies. Now, perhaps you remember when he was calling it a fraud and that cryptocurrencies weren't the real deal. And that was back in February, I believe. Well, now once prices are lower, this is when he starts buying in. So he has, I believe it's over $50 billion in his family office that's ready to start being 26, billion dollar family office, and is planning to trade digital assets, right? This is where George Soros was calling it a bubble, and through here, which drove prices even further down. It had a little bit of a recovery, but you can see that since then, given this chart, it continued to sell off. Why? So that the institutions, the smart money, can pour in. And another example, which was actually came across my desk not too long ago, was Wellington Management. They're a $1 trillion asset financial institution. They have tons of assets under management. They're preparing their investors as well. If you read through in here, that this is a go, right? It's all systems go, and this is a $1 trillion financial institution. Keep in mind, right? The entire cryptocurrency market cap at this very moment isn't even $1 trillion. So one institution alone can significantly move the market, because even if they say George Soros and Goldman Sachs and Wellington Management alone were to participate, which isn't the case, there's tons more between the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, so on and so forth. The list just goes on and on and on. If they were to allocate even 1 to 5% of their AUM, the market would double and triple as a whole in terms of market size just by their involvement, never mind speculation from retail investors. So I just wanted to show you that, simply because I get a lot of people asking me, is crypto here to stay? So I'm going to show you now some perspective before we start getting into our portfolio management approach. For those that are still like, yeah, but continue, like, let's look at the prices. It's, depressed 70% from its all-time highs. Well, those of you that are, 70% that haven't currently invested in this space, you're looking at amazing opportunity, right? The first parabolic move occurred in 2013 when the price per Bitcoin went from $14 per Bitcoin to almost $198 over the course of 4 months alone, right? Within days, the price of Bitcoin decreased by over 65%. At that time, Main Street media wasn't talking about the crash, but I remember it pretty vividly. I was on spring break, from my boarding school at the time in New England, and most of the community using Bitcoin, including myself, thought the technology was dead, right? And then look at us thereafter. We were laughing, right? Because it went all the way up from $61 per coin at its lowest trough to $1,150 a coin, which is a 19 times return, right? This time, it took a little over a year for Bitcoin to crash from its high of $1,150 to a low of $177 per coin, which was a decrease of almost 85%, right? But once again, most people thought Bitcoin was dead. Now, in the 2017 rally, which came because of a lot of ICOs coming into the space, money was just flooding into Bitcoin and Ethereum in particular, because those were the two cryptocurrencies that projects that were launching ICOs would accept for their funding. Well, Bitcoin recovered obviously in 2015 from its low of $177 and surged to over $19,200 on an insane parabolic move of 108 times, right? So if you had $1,000 in Bitcoin in January of 2015, you'd have $108,000 at the December 2017 peak, right? And that's ideally if you sold, or if you sold at the time, which not many people did. But if you had, right, that was 108 times return, right? But currently, as of August 1st, Bitcoin has retraced its previously highs by almost 70%. So if history, repeats itself, which I am overconfident that it will, the next wave will be even stronger. So if you're like me, right, I've done a lot of things right in terms of investing, in terms of life choices, from studying to my business ventures, but I've also done a lot of things wrong, right? But after being a portfolio manager and actively trading for the last 5 years, I discovered three really important aspects. Is first, you need to trade a balanced portfolio, having both long and short positions and being able to be confident in those positions, which leads into the next thing that I discovered, is that you need to have niche trades, right? You can't just cross your fingers because a financial advisor tells you to. You need to have a specific edge that you identified. And what's a better edge, in my opinion, than being the best researched individual in that market, right? Cryptocurrency markets are relatively small right now, and a lot of people, they just simply don't do their due diligence, which leads a lot of opportunity for guys like us, and females, as well, that want to take advantage of this amazing opportunity. And then third and foremost, you need to consistently profit, right? I discovered this the hard way, and the hard way entailed learning lessons by losing money, using strategies that aren't consistent, and spending too much time trying to gain an edge. I've tried day trading systems. I've tried learning specific niche, say bond trades, and it works well for a while, but then some of the market infrastructure changes, right? What I noticed is that by trading a balanced portfolio, by having specific niche trades and giving yourself time for your thesis to plan out, really helps in terms of consistently profiting. So right now you're probably sitting there 20 minutes in saying, you know, I want the easy way, let me know. So if you want the easy way that helped me grow from managing a $5,000 account to multi-million dollar portfolios, the three secrets that I've identified is, which are going to sound extremely simple, right, is invest with the smart money is secret number one. You want to align yourselves with the money flow and get in while most are fearful. If you know where to align yourself and who to align yourself with, this part is easy. All you have to do is the research here, guys. Next, the second secret that I discovered is you need to swing trade with the catalyst, right? So we have our longer term time horizons, and then we have our shorter term time horizons. It's not a day trade, it's a swing trade, meaning that we're looking for a specific catalyst that's going to increase the demand. And we want to position ourselves before the news comes out. That's how you consistently profit, by being the best researched and knowing exactly when specific events are going to occur. That's what we do over and over again, right? The third secret that I discovered is that you need to manage a balanced portfolio. Excuse me. This is what, really ties everything together, in my opinion. Our approach is so simple, yet most people simply don't do this because it takes time if you're going to do the research all on your own. So I'll show you this in a few slides. This is my opinion, the most important lesson I can teach you. But until then, oops, let me show you this. Let's talk about investing. So long term, you too can achieve 1,000% returns if you know what blockchain technologies to invest in, right? Buy and hold is most certainly a strategy if you're overly confident in the future trajectory of any given project. Now, in cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, it's easier than even investing in financial markets. Why? Is because in order for cryptocurrencies and digital assets as a whole to become viable long term, is they need the community to believe in it. And by having an immense amount of transparency and involving them in not only the development but also in the early stage investing, gets a lot of information out there for us to capitalize on. So that leads me into follow the money flow, right? We need to watch where the key influencers are in this space and how they're allocating their capital. You need to understand their investment thesis. When I talk to my friends at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, when I talk to my friends from the Chicago Board of Options Exchange, or even if I'm talking with some of my hedge fund clients, right, it's pretty much all the message across the board is synonymous, right? Who's investing in what edge do they see, and where is this information available for me to learn more? That's just how it works. So it sounds probably really simple, right? You're going to want to take your emotions out of it. But once you're in an investment, you've done your research, continue to revisit it, of course, but don't get out until your thesis is changed. Long-term investing, obviously, is what gets you 1,000% returns. It doesn't happen overnight. So that leads me into right here, the S-curve adoption model for technology. So in my opinion, well, actually, I know this for a fact, less than 5% of the world has adopted digital assets and cryptocurrencies in any part of their ownership, whether it's they're using the technology, whether it's they're investing in the technology. Less than 5% of the world is currently involved. So we are at the bottom of the inflection of the technology S curve, right? Early on, you see innovators come into this space and you hear obviously about their success long term, but a lot of people think they're crazy. They start talking about these digital assets that nobody can really relate to because they maybe see value, but others just simply don't. But then when you start going on with time and you start going on the technology S curve, right, you'll notice that once commercialization and adoption starts taking place, you'll see that this is the most profitable period for anyone that's positioned themselves early on. Now, if we're here and within the next 6 months to a year, we're starting this curve, that means that there's going to be unsurpassed rates of return for you to capitalize on, right? And it just takes time. You need to let time come into this market where the key players are currently positioning themselves, right? Once a lot of the institutions are involved in this space, you're going to notice that, well, they're positioned properly, the price will skyrocket. And that's what's happening, not just from Bitcoin, but from all cryptocurrencies. So on the left, you have the S-curve for adoption model. For here is the innovation adoption lifecycle. So this is where you get to choose who you want to be. Do you want to be an innovator and an early adopter, or do you want to be a part of the early majority that's just going to take the final summit? At one point, you're not going to have a choice of when you want to participate. You will be forced at one point to get into crypto assets because that's where publicly traded companies are going. Overstock.com releasing an ICO for their dividend token, right? It's an equity-backed security token that's going to be launched by a publicly traded company. This is happening over and over again, and it's in the works right now. So that was my first secret, if you will, which is investing. Probably doesn't shock most of you. Now, let's talk about active investing. So, active investing, you want to first and foremost look for a catalyst, right? In order to enter a swing trade, we need both a fundamental and technical edge. So, what does that look like? Well, that looks at a specific date and time when demand is most probably going to increase. And if you're looking out or know where to look, you can consistently identify these week over week in different projects without having to know every single project that's in this space. Because in cryptocurrencies, there's over 3,000 tokens that have been established and listed on exchanges since the last year, right? How am I supposed to be able to research all of those and be an expert in them? Well, if anyone tells you that they are in all 3,000 plus, they're flat out liars, right? But you need to know how to look for specific catalysts. And what I do is I layer on and off positions, right? I'm not so egotistical to think that I can call the bottom of any one particular market. It's just never has been my skill. I've never been able to say this is the very bottom of this market at this point in time. So what I do is I layer on and off positions, which allows you to scale into positions and scale out of positions. It also means that as a portfolio manager, you can scale your trading style to any amount of capital without having to worry about, oh, is my strategy that I'm learning scalable as an individual? Maybe you want to do this professionally like I do. Well, this is the approach that we take, right? We use specific limit orders, we set them. If the market comes in and fills them, phenomenal. We have risk on at price levels that we like. But if we don't get filled, then no worries, right? That's what's called FOMO. Fear of missing out is something that we make up in our head here, guys, and it's not real. It's just something that we think that is opportunity lost, or we want to rush into a trade or an investment, but quite frankly, that ends up with people second guessing themselves. So if we set our positions with limit orders, we get layer in at various price levels, we average in as the price is going against us, and then we average out as we start being proved correct. And we do this over and over again. And I'll show you that in the next slide in a case study I recently recorded for you. And in cryptocurrencies, I use relative value pricing. So most of you are probably familiar with Ethereum, or at least have heard of it. So Ethereum is a infrastructure for executing smart contracts and launching decentralized applications. Long and short, that's what it is. It's a platform that allows you to build applications on top of. Now they have a token standard, which is called the ERC20 token standard, and that's what allows a lot of cryptocurrencies, upcoming ICOs, to launch on the Ethereum network. So it makes a lot of sense to trade Ethereum for some of these smaller altcoins, if we call them, and because they're extremely volatile relative to their parent blockchain. So this presents valuable opportunities once again for us because we have a catalyst. We're layering in and out of positions, and we're using relative value pricing. So even when the market price, say for Bitcoin or Ethereum, is going down, we can still consistently pull money out of the market, which is really important, guys, right? So but as Bitcoin and Ethereum are going down, I was still able to make money by trading relative value because I'm able to consistently get good returns on smaller projects relative to its parent blockchain. Now, that may be confusing for you at first, and I understand that. We're just scratching the surface here, guys, and I obviously will explain more later, but that's the general motif. We look for a catalyst, we layer on and off positions, and we use relative value pricing. So let me show you an example of this. When I was working with Sean and getting this entire division ready to launch, I recorded a case study for you. And you'll see this actually on NeuroStreet's website. And what I do every single week is we have a portfolio management approach, which I'll get into in a few slides from now. But as a teaser, it looks something like this. And the week ahead that I created for myself in June 25th, right, I was trading Ox. And I decided, I'm really, really confident in this trade. Now I'm willing to risk capital. I want to record this so that as we're at a launch event, I could show you exactly how I approach each and every one of my trades. So as I scroll down, you'll see that there's another video. This is our case study. So I was trading what's called the Ox protocol. And you don't have to understand what the Ox protocol is to understand the gist of this trade. I'm going to walk you through step by step of the life cycle of this trade from order entry to exit positions, right? And my charting, the thesis, and everything. Now, this is just one of our trades that we go through each and every week, but it takes, as you'll see, a significant edge in order to execute properly. So let me grab a quick sip of water, and I'll start explaining. Okay. So to start off with, I got an email from GDAX. I've traded on GDAX before, and it said on Friday, June 29th, GDAX was going to be shifting their entire trading exchange onto what was called pro.coinbase.com, right? And I was researching this further, and through some further research, I went through a blog article, an announcement on the announcement and figuring out exactly where it was going. But it says that they are purchasing a company called Paradox, which you see me highlighting right here, right? So when I go into Paradox, which you'll see in front of you, Paradox is let's see, I'll show it to you right here. So Paradox allows you to trade ERC20 tokens, which keep in mind are just projects that are built on top of Ethereum. That's all you need to know at this point. And it was using a relay that was powered called the Ox protocol. So I was familiar with the Ox protocol. I was actually already an investor in it for some of my personal trading, but for a long-term portfolio. But I wanted to get some good swing trades in this as well because I saw an amazing opportunity. So what I did is I researched, started all with the research with an announcement and a catalyst, understanding what the Ox protocol was, right? And I said, okay, let's find some markets to trade. I went on coinmarketcap.com, found the most markets to trade, and I started charting. So in front of you, let's see. So in front of you, you're going to see Ox to Ethereum. I mentioned to you that I like to trade relative value. Why? Because you can consistently pull money out of the market regardless of if Bitcoin or Ethereum are going up in value in the short or long term, right? Those are longer term investments and they have specific catalysts of their own. But if you already are investing in the crypto space, you can use those long-term holdings to generate alpha. So what we were doing here is I had established in the green 3 entry-level positions. Entry 1 was at 0.0014 Satoshis, which ultimately is just a crypto saying for the price level that we were getting into. And we had entry level 2 at 0.00133. And then entry level 3, as you can see in the green as well. Now, this is where I placed limit orders to start buying into Ox. So I was exchanging Ethereum for Ox, knowing that there was these catalysts coming up and that there is significant meaning behind the new Paradox exchange being acquired by Coinbase, right? So we had a real reason and confidence to be in this trade. If the trade went against me, I'm still extremely confident because I know that this is a great opportunity. So I'm buying more, right? That's why I have 3 entry level positions. Now I have 3 take profit points as well, as you can see in the blue. And you'll notice that I have a defined risk to reward for this trade. I have 15.6% decrease of my Ethereum for my risk, 38% increase in Ethereum for my reward, for an overall reward to risk ratio of 2.44 times. Now going into this, I start going into me placing orders. Now, when I do this, maybe you'll see it. Hold on, let's see. Ox is at 60 cents. No, just take a mental note, right? Ox is at 60 cents as I'm placing my order, right? I'm going through, this is me showing you how I'm legging into 3 different positions, just, explaining the entire process. And as we go forward, we have a real reason to be in the trade. You can see this were the end results, right? So I also have buy orders below. I was filled on one of my positions at 0.0014, which if you look was actually at the bottom. So kudos for that. But I got filled on one of my legs in my Binance exchange, and I was more aggressive in my Poloniex account, which I'll show you for that later on as well. But I was able to book a 27% return in a week. It's trading at $1, right, in terms of USD value, but Ethereum was also increasing in price. So if you think about that, that's almost a 80% return in terms of USD dollars, but in terms of Ethereum, it was 27%. I increased my overall holdings. And when I look at my, let's see, my Poloniex trade, wait for it to load. Sorry about this, guys. Wait for Poloniex. Oops. You'll see that here I had a little bit more size. I was layering in, I have at each price level for 5 Ethereum, and I got filled on 2 different Ethereum levels, but I was able to capture a 47% gain in simply a week. So you can see the times that were dated across the board, right? This is on July 2nd. These were placed on, let's see, the sell orders were on June 30th. But I also had buy orders going in on the 29th, right? It started working very quickly for me, so I didn't get filled in on everything, but I was filled on June 29th, and I'm starting to take profit here, right, on the 30th and the 2nd. So less than a week, guys, I'm able to book a 27% and a 42% return on simply trading this relative value pair. Now, and like I said before, USD dollar amounts, it was significantly more, but that wasn't the chart I was trading, so I can't really take credit for the 80% gain, which in dollar amounts it was. So that's how we approach simply one of our trades. We have significant reason to be in it, right? We get in the way and then we get out of the way by layering out at different price levels. And that's as simple as that. So now I've talked to you about investing, right? I've talked with you about swing trading. Now let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together and talk about how I manage a balanced portfolio. So this is, my opinion, the most important lesson I can give you and teach you, honestly, is how we approach the markets. So I segment each portion of my portfolio from, say, long-term portfolio, swing trades, to margin trading, lending, and then hedging as well. So I set at least half of my assets in long-term portfolio, and I revisit each thesis from every 3 to 6 months. So I'm always keeping up to date with the projects I'm invested in, right? And as I develop, the risk should decrease because more as time goes on, it should prove itself more viable, right? That's how we approach investing is the risk increasing or decreasing as time goes on? It should be decreasing. Now, swing trades, we identify through significant research, right? If you're trading a larger portfolio with me, maybe you can't swing trade, half of your portfolio simply because the markets right now are extremely small, but you can take a smaller percent like I do. At least 20% of my funds are for active management. And then I protect against my account with hedges. And I teach this by trading equity options that are correlated to various cryptocurrency projects. We have futures that are out there, and I also teach people how to short outright on various exchanges. So let's talk about, and I'll go into some of my portfolio management approach that I hinted at earlier, so you can really get a good understanding as to how this all works. So pulling up an Excel sheet, I'm going to start from the bottom from when I first started, really making sure that I had everything ready for this launch event, which was on June 25th, and then we'll go all the way up until last week's portfolio. So you can see that each and every single week, I revisit some longer term trades. Now, these are some longer ones that I wanted to share with you. If you want to get the rest of the ones, well, then obviously, continue forward. But the longer term trade ideas that I had were for Ethereum, Bitcoin, Binance, Stellar, and Polymath, right? I specify the exchange, whether I'm bullish or bearish, and what those entry levels look like in terms of USD dollar amounts, right? Now, that's when I first want to put this on a spreadsheet, like you see in my swing trading area, where, say, for AUX, or if you look at Ethereum Classic also has been crushing it as well since then, if you look at the historical price action, but Augur as well. These were all new this week that I was adding onto the portfolio. And if I had, as you'll see in the week after, I have updated price levels that I say, okay, if you weren't in earlier, these are the levels that I would place limit orders at. If the market comes and fills us, great, we have risk on at great price levels. If we don't get filled at these price levels, no harm, no foul. We can wait and be patient, wait for the market to come to us, right? We don't ever want to be chasing. That's how we approach it. Now, these are the two that we spoke about, and I promised you I would teach you all how to collect free crypto tokens. That's doing this by what's called an airdrop. So airdrops are free money. Companies that are, or projects rather, that are launching ICOs in order to increase their network and people that are, familiar with the project. What they do is they'll actually airdrop you, say, 10, 20, $30, $50 worth of their tokens if you do small projects. So for example, if you're like one of their Facebook posts or share something on Twitter or follow them on Medium, right? Something very, very small, and then you send them your Ethereum address, you'll be able to receive these crypto tokens completely free. And so if you do this each and every week, this week I was able to collect $185 just simply in that 1 week by collecting free money. Now, I didn't have to put any money down. All I did was simple tasks, and maybe it took me 45 minutes to an hour to do all of these right at once. So for an hourly rate of $185, you can do this each week, and it's pretty profitable. So let's go into margin lending. Margin lending is a niche trade that I've identified. I'll teach you how to do that later on, but you can consistently pull, say, 0.01 to 0.202% on your Bitcoin as interest by lending this to other margin traders. So it's completely fulfilled by an exchange, meaning that they take all of the counterparty risk and they have everything automated, right? And what they do simply is just facilitate it. It's not like a big connect scheme where you're lending and trying to get massive interest. No, this is specifically lending to margin traders. If you are an active investor at all, I'm sure you know that if you're investing in margin, you have to pay an interest rate for the shares that you've borrowed, right? It's very similar in cryptocurrency, but instead of paying it to your broker, you're paying it to a peer directly, which is me. Now, hedging with options or futures. This week we had Bitcoin futures that we were hedging with. This was our, remember, keep in mind, guys, this was in June 25th. These were our entry levels in terms of Bitcoin futures. Now I'm trading actually XBT, which because the Bitcoin future has 5 Bitcoins in that contract as opposed to 1 with XBT. And I am remarkably bullish at the moment for crypto markets. So this is our approach. I'll show you, a couple more examples so you can get the hang of it. That was 1 week. Let's talk about the next week that we were going into it, right? July 1st, we were able to collect $151 in crypto tokens. I had updated price levels for Augur and Ox. Ox was working out extremely quick, so I wanted to take quick profits, and I was keeping my Ethereum Classic open as well because of upcoming announcements. So I was waiting for that catalyst too. And you can see I was able to collect, $151. So putting those 2 weeks together, right? The first week of, last week of June, and this week, you're able to collect over $320 by simply collecting free airdrops. Let's talk about another week. The week thereafter, July 8th, I was able to collect another $159. These were some of the airdrops I was participating in. It takes, maybe an hour to do this, and I added a few new trades, right? I had some overstock.com puts. It was overvalued relative to some of the cryptocurrencies that it's correlated with. And so I was buying puts in those, and you can see some of that in through here. Now, does this make sense, guys? Can I get some whys in the chat room or no's in the chat room? Actually, what I'm going to do for all of you is saying, does our portfolio management approach make sense? I'm going to open up a poll and I'm going to launch it. You let me know what you guys think here. Getting a lot of yes, absolutely, awesome. No, not yet, a few. Let's see, we have 50%. Anyone else want to vote? Closing a few. All right. So we have 63% yes, absolutely, this makes sense, and 37% no, not yet. Now, that's okay. We, don't expect everyone to pick it up all at once, but ultimately, the approach is very simple, right? We have a basket of funds. In these basket of funds that we invest, we're going to have some longer term ideas where we're going to actually wait for our thesis to play out, right? Every 3 to 6 months, we're going to revisit this and we're going to, try to get at the best price levels possible. But these opportunities are ones that are highly vetted, that we are overly confident of the future trajectory of these projects. We just need to get in the way and let time prove our thesis correct. Now, our swing trades is for smaller portions of that. So let's say that longer term trade ideas is 50%. Swing trades is 20%, 30%, even 40% perhaps. Well, for this portion of our funds that we want to allocate to the market, we're going to actively trade. And we're actively trading this through swing trading. And we're not staring at screens all day. We identify price levels that we like in advance. We identify our risk in advance and our rewards in advance. And we place all of those limit orders at once, and we let our thesis pan out. If we are filled on the position, great, right? We have risk on at great price levels, and we can take profit automatically when, if as we're proving correct, our limit orders are in place at the price levels that we want to exit at, and it's pretty much completely automated, besides the research that it takes to find these opportunities, right? Now, our niche trades include margin lending, hedging with options and futures. These are obviously a lot more complex and probably not as advisable for smaller accounts. It's just, under say $5,000-$10,000. Maybe this doesn't make sense for you, but I'm pretty sure everyone can understand that when someone's giving away free money, right, you want to collect it, right? If someone says, hey, you want $10 and all you have to do is like a post on my Facebook, would you say yes? Right? I mean, a lot of people would, right? I do. Why not, right? So each week, all those opportunities, I present you in my opinion, the most lucrative and best ones. And what I'll do is share with you what I'm doing. And I collected in this week $159. The week before was $185. Let's see, 100 and let's see. 151 for July 1st. The first week in July was 185. So, in the past 5 weeks, I'm actually able to collect over $700 in free crypto tokens simply because I like something on Facebook or I do a small task. It doesn't require me any risk to put on, right? So if what I do with those is I just create a portfolio of, let's say, airdrop tokens. If some of these actually explode, which they do, inevitably if you pay enough of them, right, the good projects, well, you can get 1,000% returns. That $50 then turns into, well, 500 or even 5,000, right? And if we get something cool, great. we can sell them at a profit, and we can use them for, say, vacation money. I like to travel a lot, so I'll use it for going to Europe with my girlfriend. I've done this, last year I went to Europe 5 times, and it's lucrative, it's easy, and it's really no skin off my back. I can do it while watching TV. So that's our approach for those that said, no, I don't understand. Um, and who has this worked for, guys? Let's talk about it. So the hedge funds that I work with, they all use this strategy. In fact, they want me to help facilitate the building out of some of their trading divisions and help educate their traders on how to put together their own research, their own spreadsheets, right? This is exactly the approach that they use right now. Not a single fund that I work with day trades day trades cryptocurrencies, right? And that's simply because the markets are just too immature. We're not there yet. The markets are smaller in terms of size, and you don't get the same type of edge as you would with other investments. But all the hedge funds I work with take this approach. Now, private family offices, same thing. I trade over $1 million plus portfolio for a private family office. They give me 50% of their profits, guys. That's how much they're giving me. They give me 50% of their profits, right? Because consistently over time, I showed them that even with the volatility in the space, I can still produce good returns. So Bitcoin has gone down almost 70%. Ethereum's gone down, almost 70%. But our portfolio is still positive because we're able to consistently hedge and profit. That's what matters the most. And then also retail investors can use this, right? There's not a single one of you that probably doesn't have a portfolio that this is appropriate for. So, if you have $500, I could say that you can leverage our portfolio management approach successfully and start investing over time. Now, maybe the dollar amounts are still small, but the end result's the same, right? Percent return on capital. That's what we want. So at NeuroStreet, this is what we put together for you. We have a crypto program that I'd like to present. I'm going to show you what we have here. We have 3 different offerings. The first one is our Intro to Crypto video series. It's 3.5 hours in length. And then we go into our advanced crypto trades and education, which in my opinion is everything you need to know to consistently profit off each one of these niche trades and have a really good understanding of. And then our quarterly crypto bootcamp, which is, I'll get to that in a second, but let me show you right now what our members area looks like so you have an idea and I can walk you through absolutely everything. 1 second. I'll pull this up. So here I'm on the crypto bootcamp, right? If I go into the members area and I go into training, crypto bootcamp, I have 3 different options I can go into. We're first going to go into the intro to crypto program, which is 3.5 hours of video education. I start off teaching you about the crypto markets, who are some key players in the space, why cryptocurrencies are, why they exist, how Bitcoin was created, right? And ultimately how it's replacing a lot of the monetary infrastructure that's in place. Then I explain to you and teach you all about distributed ledgers and blockchains. So this is I believe 32-minute long video all about distributed ledgers and blockchains. And you're not going to be able to code one after this, don't get me wrong, but if you were to go to CNBC and talk about everything in this video, you would blow their minds. They can't even walk you through this stuff, guys. They'll say buzzwords, keywords, but at the end of the day, they are just trying to say these buzzwords and keywords simply to make it more enticing for their audience. They have no idea what they're talking about. So if you want to be the smartest guy in the room about blockchain distributed ledgers, this would be the video that you go to. It's only 32 minutes long. Now we're going to talk about smart contracts, which is a 17-minute long video. These are pre-programmable contracts that you can code and they're self-executing. Ethereum is an example of a smart contract platform, and I explain everything and why it's relevant in here. ICOs and tokenization. I explained to you through 16 minutes of education exactly how ICOs and tokenization works, why it makes sense, and the process of what it takes. Then I go through crypto exchanges, some exchanges that you want to stay clear from, some exchanges that I personally like to trade, how it differs from traditional markets, so on and so forth. We talk about wallets. Oh, I'm looking at some of your I'm looking at some of your questions right now. Sorry here, guys. Oh, so airdrops require a mint token purchase? No, that's not true. Most airdrops don't require anything. It does take, say, 4 or 5 weeks for you to get paid, which I didn't mention, but if you do this every week, right, and you do it for a month, then every week you start getting paid consistently in airdrops. Dar, that was for you. I'm sorry. Minimum account, I mentioned that one, so there we go. Randy, I do use TradingView for charting because it's easy to um, draw levels, and I simply like the interface. But you could also use exchanges as well. Poloniex has decent charting. Binance, Coinigy is a tool that I recommend. I personally stopped using that a little bit because it already uses TradingView's charts, and you can't actually execute trades through them anyways. So that's my approach. I simply like to use TradingView to identify my price levels, and then once I identify my price levels, I place limit orders. Okay, and so digital wallets, going back into the intro program, and then the last video that we cap off the introductory program is a 45-minute on how to invest overview. So I go over specific ways in which we invest, the mindsets that I like to emphasize, and that's all included in the intro program. And let's talk about our advanced crypto program before we get into the trade room. Now, this is also an education video series where I have specific videos on how to vet a token, right? I created a checklist worksheet that's over 20 pages long to help you identify various areas in crypto projects that you can ask questions and find the answers to. Well, every answer or question that I have may not be applicable to the project. It is really meaningful in terms of vetting a project, storing your research so you don't have to revisit. And I also have a PDF on how Coinbase evaluates their projects that they're adding into their platforms. So this was a PDF that was released. I got my hands on it, and I'm giving it to you guys if you want in. And I have videos on swing trading cryptos. Here's a play-by-play example. There will be many more to come after we launch. This was, just one of the more recent ones that we've had. And I go through a 52-minute long tutorial on how to find catalysts, right? What various catalysts means. What do we look for? How do we place our price levels? Those types of very simple but important lessons. And then margin trading and lending on Poloniex, which is really important, guys. This shows you how to hedge your portfolio. It shows you how to collect money by actually lending out to margin traders. And simply, if you have long-term assets, say like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or even Stellar, whatever it may be, you can receive extra percent rates of returns and increase those digital assets by simply lending them to people. It's very easy to do, but most people don't know how to do it. I teach you how to participate in ICOs using my Ether wallet. So this is for the most popular method for participating in an ICO, which is built off of Ethereum. And I will show you how to use my Ether wallet to actually securely store your assets, to understand what you're doing in there. The learning curve is, when someone's explaining it to you, is actually really easy. But when I was doing it, I had to figure it out by myself. So I lost some money trying to figure out my Ether wallet, how to send funds back and forth, receive various crypto tokens in that wallet. But I have everything explained to you in here in a nice, simple 30-minute tutorial. And then I have a tutorial on airdrops and ICOs as well. So for those of you that like collecting free money, this is your go-to video. Almost it is risk-free. You can literally collect by doing very simple tasks, free money. So we have that. We have, let's talk about hedging with stablecoins and derivative products. This is where I get into finding equity options. So ultimately, let me even take a step back. There are stocks that are highly correlated to blockchain technologies, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Ripple. There are certain stocks that mimic the price action of those types of cryptocurrencies. Now, those stocks also have options that are tradable on them. So you can trade correlated products and get leverage to hedge against your portfolio and decrease the volatility. Now that's the approach I take. You can also use Bitcoin futures as well. I personally use TD Ameritrade for all of my trading. They give me phenomenal rates, that's why. But ultimately, it's a very important lesson to learn how to decrease the volatility in your portfolio and ultimately profit on both sides of the volatility. If the market goes down, we like to make money. If the market goes up, we like to make money. As long as there's movement, guys, we should be making money. And then last but not least, we have our portfolio management approach, which goes more into depth on specific training. So we have that. And then this bridges me into, we spoke about our intro to crypto course. We have our advanced crypto education and trades. Let's talk about our trade room. So I'm going to go in through here and explain to you how it works before I pull up the website again. Now, what you can expect is each week I will share with you my week ahead spreadsheet that I showed you, right? One of these spreadsheets featuring highly vetted trade ideas, potential entry opportunities, the most liquid markets, whether I'm bullish or bearish specific products. I'll have notes and specific reasons for each trade that I'm in, and I provide a video overview of everything I'm looking at. So I'll go through each and every one of these positions and I'll explain to you my research. I'll show you step by step how I came to these conclusions. And if you like to participate, you have that opportunity. So this is our week ahead spreadsheet that I provide. And we also will be doing each and every Friday a members only webinar. And once again, guys, it's going to be recorded in case, maybe you're not available at the time. It's going to be from 11 to 1. And there's going to feature strategy, how-to guides, portfolio management sessions, and obviously answering any questions that you have. I love to work with people. I like to work with feedback. And that is why I'm, doing this with you, is so that we can together profit off of the crypto markets. And I like to share my research and obviously educate. So last but not least, throughout the week, I will be providing email alerts. And that's at least 2 small videos or emails providing insight in the market, position management, or potential trade ideas. So for example, today I had a new trade idea that wasn't featured on my portfolio week ahead. I would be announcing that at the moment that I identify the edge that I have and put together all my research, create a video. I'll share it with you guys midweek so that you can stay in step with me. And I will do this actually before I input any of my orders. So you'll have everything from raw footage exactly at the time when I'm, entering my price levels at various levels, whatever it may be, and you can see my research. So what that looks like in terms of the members area is when you go into the trade room tab, you'll see that we give bonus portfolio management approach video in here for those that are going to sign up for this, launch event. We have a how to use the week ahead spreadsheet tutorial as well, 15 minutes. And each and every week we have our crypto trade room. This will change each and every week as well. It's protected by a password. So you can add these into your calendar by simply clicking below. And right now I have recordings in the recording session in the top right. You'll see that as soon as I send out an email alert to you guys, I'm going to upload those videos into the crypto recording section, which will have my week ahead spreadsheet overview, going over all of my research from the week ahead spreadsheet and covering, obviously the trades. We're going to have our weekly webinars that are going to be recorded as well, uploaded in through here, and then our updates and alerts, which will also be in this video section as well. So we have 3 different types of videos that you can keep your eye out for and navigate accordingly throughout the week, making sure that you have a consistent pulse on the crypto markets at all times. And that's our approach, and those are our crypto programs, guys. I'm really excited to share that with you. Now, here's what we're going to do for you. Because, this is a launch event, I'm working with Sean, I'm working with all of you guys. We're going to do something extremely special. I'm excited on this because I was working with Sean. I worked very hard on this, and, it's really valuable in my personal opinion. Option 1 is you can give you the Intro to Crypto series, which is 3.5 video series, completely free, right? So you have all the basics, everything you need to know in order to get started, guys. And what we're going to do is we're discounting our crypto boot camp by almost $150. So $148 is what you would save. We're selling our quarterly subscription at retail value of $495. So that's 3 months every 3 months you'd be billed $495, but instead for our launch special, it's $347. And I think personally this is the lowest barrier to entry because as you're looking at, say, my crypto week ahead spreadsheets, right? I'm going to pull this up for you. We're collecting $150 plus a week, right? So while it may take 4 or 5 weeks for those airdrops to actually give you the tokens, the free tokens that you get, each and every week I'll share with you ways in which even if you don't participate in longer term or swing trade ideas, you can collect free money, right? So I'm overly confident, almost I can guarantee that if you follow our airdrop methodologies, you will get over $347 worth of value. And I can even probably say that you'll get that in the first month, but I'm gonna take a step off the gas pedal and we'll say quarterly. I can guarantee you 100% that you'll get at least $347, if not guaranteed more, of from the quarterly crypto bootcamp. Now, for those of you that say, okay, I really like this idea. I see where crypto's going. I know that you work with hedge funds and institutions. They pay you obviously a lot more than this, but it is I want in. I want to know your trades. I want to know how you're preparing professional traders. Then this option 2, is going to be for you. We're going to give you the Intro to Crypto series. Perhaps you need it, perhaps you don't, but you'll have it if it's there. It's 3.5 hours. And we're going to give you your first crypto or quarter for the Crypto Bootcamp completely free. Now, guys, this is awesome, right? You're going to save a ton of money from just getting those and receive a ton of value by just getting those 2 free. And our retail price for our advanced trades and education is going to be over $2,000, but we're going to give it to you for saving $770 for $1,454 if that's the choice that you choose. So what I'm going to do right now for those that are interested is in the chat. Oh, Ashley's already done that for me. Great. So option 1 in the chat is for our Intro to Crypto Bootcamp, right? And our Crypto Bootcamp or quarterly subscription, $347 is option 1. Now, if you really want to get into crypto, you want to actually make sure that you're not going to lose money prior to your, getting involved. For those of you that aren't currently invested in the crypto markets, well, I highly suggest you take the advanced trades and education because you're going to save money by doing this course. And what I mean by that is that you're not going to take bad trades, right? So that's what I mean by that is you're going to limit your mistakes, and by limiting your mistakes, you're going to increase your profitability. So those are the 2 options that we have for you. I think Sean is also on the webinar too.
Yeah, I've got some great things I want to kind of bring in here for a second. First of all, Warren, great presentation. Can you guys give me a Y in the chat box if you at least learned something from what he's explaining today? If you found the knowledge that he brings to the table, you can clearly see that he's got a lot of information and he knows his stuff. Steven says very good. Randy says great job. Sure did, David. Okay, so
thank you.
I want to kind of dumb this down a little bit because Warren, you're just like professional traders, like we all have our experience levels. And for me personally, guys, I've been trading futures since 2008. And Warren met with me and we started talking about crypto this and blockchain that and tokens here and airdrops, and I thought he was speaking a different language, right? I didn't even know. I come in with all this trading experience and as a software architect and the president of NeuroStreet, and I said, Warren, I said, can you speak English to me, right? And I think this really goes important to kind of explain that even someone with a lot of trading experience, this is a new industry. And when I met with Warren and we started talking about the direction of our crypto education program, it's not just a trade room environment. The weekly class that Warren puts on with his investment thesis and his research analysis and his trade ideas and his trades, right? He's doing this not only for us, but he's also doing this as a consultant for other environments that kind of trickle into this. And what I found most valuable is the industry is scary. It's daunting. One of the things that I found personally as a trader is who do you listen to, right? Where do you go for the information? Do you listen to all the social media posts? Do you join all these big environments where everybody's pumping the information? And, even Facebook basically blocked advertisements around the crypto space because of all the pumping and all the dumping that was going on because of the big boom. And that right there kind of goes to show you why this type of a program is actually necessary. Because when we asked in here who's investing in crypto, and you've got a big chunk of people that said no, I would very much like to guess that it's due to a lack of trust, and it's due to a lack of information and a lack of proper knowledge around the concepts in the industry. And that's why I talked with Warren about putting this program in place. As I said, listen, first of all, not only do we want to provide opportunity, we want to provide a foundation that people can trust and that people can actually understand and learn and be able to say, okay, what is a wallet? What is a airdrop? What is blockchain? All the basics that need to come first before expecting to become an advanced crypto investor. And that's kind of why we introduced the intro program to the advanced program to the quarterly room. And the reason we turned this into a quarterly subscription is I feel that because this industry is changing and it's evolving, and this is not a day trading environment, that people need time to really understand it, to talk with Warren, to go back and forth with emails, to be able to join the weekly class and be able to come in there with your questions. And because it's not a trading room that's relying on a 10-tick range bar or a 30-tick profile chart, you have the time to go over the thesis. You have the time to ask the questions and get them heard. You have the time to be able to communicate via email with Warren because he's coming at it from a portfolio management perspective and a hedging perspective and a research perspective, as opposed to just taking a chart and just placing a trade. Yes, you're going to be looking at charts. Yes, you're going to be placing trades. But most importantly, you're going to find that you're going to learn how to do it with confidence. So when you're at the dinner table or at the barbecue with your friends and your colleagues, when someone starts talking about crypto this and blockchain that, you can really right away understand whether or not they know what they're doing. Right? And that's kind of what we want to do, is we want to position you from a place of power rather than a place of confusion. Right? So another question in here is, we got a good question. It says, do investment advice regulations apply to crypto or not? Maybe you can answer that question, Warren, in detail.
Sure. So in terms of regulation, the largest market cap cryptocurrencies were not considered securities by the SEC. Now, when you're talking about, say, futures, Bitcoin futures, right, that is regulated by the CFTC, and you'd want to obviously, know those regulations and laws, but the majority of crypto markets is not regulated in terms of, do we have specific methodologies for bookkeeping? Not really. I mean, if you wanted to hide cryptocurrencies in a wallet, a lot of people have done this and are doing this because they don't want to pay, say, long-term taxes, right? And it's very difficult for that to be audited, which is, a risk right now. But solutions are being made available. And when you talk about other regulations, right? I don't need, say, Series 7, I don't need Series 66 anymore to be able to consult people and work directly and even place trades for some of these hedge funds I'm working with, simply because this market is so new. They're getting involved, the regulation is murky. And so, one of the main benefits that I like to keep in touch with, my friend is putting together actually an institutional level product, but he's giving me free access to because I'm helping him create it, is exactly that. It's a right product on rules and regulations for specific geographies and their cryptocurrency requirements.
Well, another question too is understanding, first and foremost, just like every other trading room that we run, our goal is not to place your trades for you and tell you how to trade or tell you how to invest. We're going to show you what he's doing as an experienced professional. And should you choose to decide to place investments for yourself, or should you decide to learn this information and decide to trade your own, it's your responsibility. You're your own independent traders. We're not your advisors. We're not your brokers. We're not your traders. We're not trading for you. We're educating you to make your own financial decisions so that you can understand it, you can feel more confident about it, and you can be more professional in your own business, right? Warren is being asked a question from Dara, says, what about the bookkeeping? Blockchains are auditable. IRS has already got
That's
a software
correct.
to focus on this. Yes.
That's correct. So, I mean, they are auditable. Blockchains, the majority of all blockchains are auditable. We'll put that in asterisks at the moment. But You're right. They are taxed like stocks. They're not taxed like futures. Depending on if you're living out of it, right? You can you can be taxed from ordinary income, or you could be taxed from capital gains perspective. So it's very similar to stocks at the moment, but it is is definitely a budding industry that has a lot of nebulous regulations and practices, um, throughout. So, I mean, you do obviously want to keep trade histories. You want to make sure that to the best of your ability you can. But say, for example, when I'm trading Ethereum for Ox, it's very difficult for most people to establish a basis at that given time. So when I was working with my bookkeeper actually in December, trying to have them go through all of my cryptocurrency activities in December of 2017, right? This is when it became a hugely common, conversation topic, because we were all made a significant amount of money, and the IRS isn't going to let you just make a bunch of money without taxing it, right? Like, we know this. That's just how they operate. So, I mean, in terms of taxation, yes, 100%. You are right.
So just just to kind of bring this all home here, guys. How many of you guys, without getting, and because it's a webinar, this is not a class, right? This is not a discussion where we want to get into discussing the nitty gritty. This is the whole purpose of our courses, this whole purpose of working with Warren moving forward. Who in here is interested in what we've discussed here? I just want to get a feedback, because this is a launch webinar. How many of you guys can see yourself engaging in what we're talking about? How many of you guys think this is something that you would be a part of? You'd like to work with Warren on a more environmental basis, where you can learn from someone that he's very experienced in the crypto space, and really, if you're going to take this seriously from a cryptocurrency perspective, the nice part about it is that over time you learn the airdrops so that you can basically pay for your program on its own, right? You're not even out of pocket over time. It's like self-funding your own education, right? Through methods that we can teach you. David says, completely new. What trading platform are these cryptos you use? 3,000 good to start. David wants to know, is $3,000 good to start if you're investing in the crypto space? How long is the subscription for price and your recommendations? So the subscription for the crypto quarterly subscription, Warren, if you want to kind of just discuss the length of these programs and what you're doing.
Sure. So the crypto bootcamp is a quarterly subscription, so every 3 months, right? Our first month on the left is $347 if you choose option one, and that's going to entail the Intro to Crypto video series as well. Now, we give you the first quarterly subscription completely free in option two if you want to learn and take a deep dive of our advanced trades and education. This will show you how to participate in airdrops, setting up wallets. This will teach you, how to hedge your portfolio from volatility. This will teach you everything you need to know to become like me. And obviously, I'm going to be there to coach you along the way. Will be working with the option two clients a lot in terms of, if you have questions via email for me during the week, I'm here for you guys. Like, this is what I'm doing. So, I mean, I would love to work with you guys, and it's a really exciting program, in my opinion. It's unlike any other out in the internet where people are just having, charting sessions, buy and sell based off that. And cryptocurrencies, that doesn't work. You really need a true reason, and you need a thesis behind every investment. And that's where I can come in. I can decode the lingo that's common in all these technologies. I know how to develop software. I can read APIs. I can test APIs. I can pull up various GitHub projects, which is really important, right? And I can vet from a developer's level all the way to a professional traders, based off my experience, and I'm willing to share all of this with you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Rick wants to know, so to participate in the airdrops, you need option number two.
So where I'm looking for that, Rick. So if you want the video that comes in with how to participate in airdrops, it's a very in-depth 45-minute tutorial on setting up your wallet, how to find them for yourselves. Then you would want to do option two. I mean, You'll be able to get the gist over time if you use option one and, continually being exposed to the idea, the concept, how they work. But if you want a full explanation to get started in collecting free crypto tokens, and have a complete tutorial on that, option two, we go over that in the advanced trades and education section.
I was asking, the option 2 quarterly expires after 3 months, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a way for them to engage after they, okay, so this is important here, guys. Obviously, education, you learn it, you understand it, you watch the training, you get a feel for it. Once you're experienced in it, and then you're just wanting to engage into the actual environment of the trade room every Friday with Warren, then obviously it's just you're paying a quarterly subscription ongoing to basically be a part of the trade room, right? That's really how this is designed. So, when you after you've learned all the education and you've understood it, and you've basically been through the information, then you'll be able to engage on an ongoing basis quarterly if you so choose to be a part of the room ongoing, right? And you'll be able to gauge if this is where you feel you want to participate on a regular basis. It's an investment room every week, so you've got 4 classes a month with Warren, and you'll be able to communicate on a daily basis with him as he goes through the course. I mean, we've got a lot of traders in here that are engaged in crypto, right? And we want to make sure that, because it's not a day trading perspective, you'll have the opportunity to be able to get your questions answered on a regular basis, and you'll be able to have time to go through that information.
That's correct. Now, Dar's asking how many exchanges will be required to join. So personally, I primarily trade from Poloniex. I primarily trade from Binance. I primarily trade from KuCoin. Those are my 3 exchanges that I typically use, and in my opinion are probably the most credible. So I really love those. I would say you can start off with just Binance, or Poloniex has a limited currency pairings. I would even recommend KuCoin. So those are the 3 that I would recommend, because as most of you probably know, most tokens aren't listed on every exchange. Actually, almost all tokens are limited to certain exchanges. So you have to go to certain exchanges in order to buy that currency pair or participate in that trade. So you will probably need to set up with at least 1 or 2, perhaps even 3 exchanges to have a really good broad exposure to the market.
Perfect. Well, I think what we'll do here, yeah, everything is recorded. So every time you run a class, every time Warren teaches a class and he runs the trade room, that'll be recorded. It's standard. You'll get a chance to go in and watch them over and over again. It's an educational environment just as much as an investment environment. So you'll get a chance to really go into detail with that and be able to watch that and review that. But moving forward, guys, I think this is a great opportunity for us to kind of transition into the class, right? I mean, if you liked what you've seen here, if you're interested in joining, this has been, it's taken about 4 months for us to put the content together, right? It did not just happen overnight. This was strategically placed to be able to teach you in a very, very strategic way. There's a lot of information that's going to be done on a weekly basis, right? Yeah, just alone in the thesis reports. So the emails that are going out on a weekly basis for upcoming investment thesis, upcoming information, understanding what your focus is going to be, that alone is independently worth its weight in gold. I mean, that's like taking Warren and his entire brain and putting it into a report every week. Right. So the nice part about this is that if this is something that you can see yourself engaging with, if you want to learn cryptos and investing in this industry properly from someone that has the experience and is here to truly put engaged information into your hands, and also with passion and with care, then you're in the right place, right? And for those of you that understand the software that we produce, the trading rooms that we run on a regular basis, a lot of you guys are customers that have been working with us for a while, and you understand the content that we put out, you understand the software we put out. We're not here as just a, this isn't our first rodeo, if you will, right? So hopefully that kind of goes, without saying. So I think we'll shut the webinar down. I think it's a perfect environment for us to transition into recording. We have, Warren on standby. If you have questions after the event, we're gonna distribute the recording. We'll put it into your hands as of tomorrow, and we'll have an opportunity for you guys to engage, right? So I want to Steven says he's investigated many crypto education sites, and this is the most informative and best value that he's seen. Thanks, Steven. Dar, obviously you've been heavily invested in the crypto space. You can kind of gauge with that. I mean, we've got a few people in here that are invested in crypto, that are heavily vested, and David will email a few questions, not a problem. So I think that's it, guys. I want to thank Warren. Warren, thanks again for all the hard work you've put together. I know this is going to be a huge success. I know that the traders are very engaged, and there is a timeline for this promotion. So obviously, give it some thought, give it some time. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to send us an email. And the fact that your knowledge may be limited in this, right? This is important, right? Like for me, if you were to come to me and say, Sean, what do you think about the crypto space? I'm going to say, I don't think about it because I have no experience in it. And that's exactly why we brought Warren in. Because if I'm going to put my investments into crypto, Warren's the guy I'm going to talk to, right? And this is kind of why I really think that anybody in here that is on the fence about the industry needs to be a part of this program. It's truly more about education first than application. You need to know what you're doing before you go and take your money and put it into the industry. I think it's truly, truly impactful to first gain an understanding before you take your money and risk it. Right? I think that's really why this program has merit, because first you're going to learn it before you start putting it into market, right? And Dar says, this is smart of NeuroStreet to get this on the radar. Well, I think personally, this is where the industry is lacking. I think everybody's out there for the quick pump and dump, and it's all done by online marketers. I don't know if you've noticed that, rather than active traders. And this is where we differ. This is where we differentiate, because we came at it from a place of education first to make sure you understand what's going on in the industry and understand how to do it. Then you can learn how to actually take your money and start making educated decisions with it. I think that's the way that any proper investor should look at the market.
Completely agree, Sean. And just so you guys know, option 1 is in the chat, and there's a link below it. Option 2 is there's a link below that as well. And before we head out, guys, what we're going to do is one last poll, if that's okay with you. And if do you have any more questions? If so, make sure to ask one of our representatives. They're either going to be in close contact with me, or what I'll do is I can reach out to you directly as well, depending on what that looks like. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, I'm here for you. This is why I'm doing this, is to work with individuals like yourself, like NeuroStreet. It's amazing. It's a great opportunity, and I hope you guys take advantage of it.
Al said he spent $20,000 on a trading program before. He said, this seems like a good deal. Well, I've been there too, Al, and you probably learned a lot too from that $20,000 investment. In fact, that was the first thing I did. Was I paid 20 grand for my first education, and then I ended up designing software around what I learned so that I didn't have to do it manually. And that's how the birth of GZT came to be.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Jerry says, if I were to invest, I like your program. That's awesome. Thank you. If you need more information, the intro course is the way to go, my man. Awesome. Sean, so with that, is there anything else that we need to cover, or we should close it on up?
Excellent, guys. I want to thank you again, Warren, for all your hard work. And guys, do me a favor, answer the question here at the end so that we can really help you. I think it's really important for us to make sure that if you are looking to get some questions answered, that we put you in touch with the right people. There's nothing worse than getting a bunch of emails and they don't answer your questions. I think it's truly more advantageous for you guys, not just us, to be able to add service and value. And that way, especially for those of you that are new to crypto, if you have questions, this is where it really needs to boil down. And even if our representatives can't answer the questions, we'll put you in touch with Warren. Perfect. All right, guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. Really excited to move forward on the crypto space with you guys. And Warren, once again, thanks for all the hard work you do with us.
You got it.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Team.